you do that? How did you do that?
Welcome back everyone to another episode of All About Mechanics. Now today is going to be March of Sacrifices. We're going to use the same setup as always with one tank, one healer, one stamina DPS and one magic DPS, making sure that no roles are left out. We're going to do it on veteran difficulty and of course we're going to activate the hard mode as well. Now this is going to take real coordination and teamwork, so you need to pay attention to the mechanics. Here we go. Okay, so when we first go into the dungeon, we're greeted for a portal. You can jump off the edge, but it will kill you, so don't do that. That'll rip your no death run straight away. But go straight through the portal, and we are sent downstairs into the kind of hunting grounds themselves. Now, your tank needs to go first at all costs, if possible. Don't have any YOLO DPS in there, because they will die. There's lots of really nasty heavy attacks in this dungeon. You don't want to get caught by them. But the tank should do the same stuff as pretty much every other dungeon and basically focus the dangerous stuff and pin everything else up and chain it in if possible. Now the main focus in this particular dungeon is the two-handers and the one-hand and shield types. You have to make sure that the tank grabs them instantly because they do hit the group with really nasty heavy attacks and you don't want to get caught by them. So of course make sure that they're pulled in and focused. Now as a DPS you want to make sure that you keep an eye on the archers and interrupt them if you need to. But for the most part the tank should be able to just pull them into the rest of the group and AoE will pretty much do its work. Now, this place is kind of a straight line. You've only got one way you can really go, apart from if you go off to the Indrik hunts. But it's quite easy to get lost, because there's loads of trees and stuff everywhere. Just keep an eye on your map so you don't get too confused as to where you're going to go, especially if you're going for speed runs and such like that. By the way, speed runs, you do want to kill everything, otherwise you won't get the achievement. Here, again, we've got some animals. Make sure you pull the bear in as soon as possible as a tank and turn it away from the group. Do not stand in front of that bear as a DPS, because if he cleaves, you are going to die. Same goes for healers as well. Now, as you go deeper into the forest, you are going to see different enemies. But again, to start with, it's basic stuff. There's a few wolves, a few bears. Make sure the tank, of course, again, grabs the big heavy stuff, the sword and board guy and the bear. And the interrupts should come from the group if anything needs to be handled. Now, that one ran a bit loose. If it does heavy attack the DPS or the group, you have to make sure you dodge roll it because you won't block the heavy attacks. They hit very, very hard indeed. So be careful with those. Things are quite spread out in here. It's quite difficult for the tank sometimes to pull everything, so you do have to pay attention to the surrounding enemies just in case you accidentally get caught out. Now, as you can see, there's a windy path. It goes one way, but it's quite easy to get lost, like I said. Now, if you go forward up to the left-hand side here, there is a wolf and an archer, and you have to pull them in together. But behind you is a sword and board guy again and a bear. Now, you have to make sure the tank is awake to grab hold of those ASAP. You can see the sword and board is on me. The tank hasn't quite seen it yet. So I have to make sure I pay attention to him, focus him down because he's the main target. But if he does heavy attack me, I've got to dodge roll away. Otherwise, I'm in shit. Now, the archer at the back, of course, can be interrupted. But as you can see there, the tank just pulled him in. You do want to grab those quicker if you can, but they're not the main problem. The problem is the sword and boards. They're the ones that will kill your group. Next pull, very simple stuff again. You've got priority targets here, sword and board and the bears. Always grab those first as the tank. DPS should keep down as much area effect as possible while not standing in front of the dangerous target. If you do and you do die, it's your own fault, so be very, very careful. Archer at the back again, if he needs interrupting, pay attention to it. Apart from that, just burn him down when he comes in. They have the least health at least anyway, they're quite squishy. Now, this first boss is very, very simple. There are 3 enemies. There's a sword and board dude, there's a healer, and an archer. Sword and board guy will charge occasionally. When this happens, you want to block if he's aiming at you. The healer will heal, of course, which needs interrupting, and the archer needs interrupting as well. But you cannot stand in the archer's circle and use synergy or magic effects because there is a blue circle around it, which is basically a negate bubble. What you want to do is hold the tank, as the tank, on top of the healer. You can interrupt the healer that way because you're close, and you can burn down the tank first of all. You want to prioritize this target because he is the one with the one-shots. As you can see there, the archer moves around quite a bit. Just stay out of that blue circle and you won't have any negative effects. So that cone there coming from the archer, you can interrupt it or stay away from it. Now, we are doing damage to the healer as well while paying attention to interrupts, but apart from that, she's not really a problem. Just keep on this main tank guy all the time. If the boss heavy attacks the tank can block and they will survive. If the tank heavy attacks the group member, they have to dodge roll on time or they will die. Now, once the tank is down, it's basically just finish off the healer and then everybody go focus on the archer. As you can see, I've got synergy effects underneath my feet, but I can't actually take them because this negate circle is preventing it. So you can see there that our tank, although he can actually stand in here, is staying out, so he can still apply magical effects. And our healer and our magical DPS are staying at range, because if they do touch that circle, they can't use anything. Stamina abilities are still affected, however. You can still use those, so that's not a negative effect for those. So again, tank first, healer second, archer last. It's the easiest one to deal with, and you don't want to be negated from synergies and magical effects while you're fighting the other two, because that can be really, really dangerous. Now, of course, we need to go and follow the path. Just keep your map up. If you're on PC, you can have a mini-map for this anyway, so it's a little less stressful. But it's quite easy, like I said already, to get lost. We got lost there. Look for the doorways. Now, the next area, we're going to be introduced to some new enemies. These are some of what you've probably seen before in terms of their physical appearance, the Lurcher-type enemies, but they do have a different mechanic that hasn't been used in previous dungeons. Now, first of all, this area is quite dense. There's a lot of wolves around. You do have to pull them in together and focus them as much as possible. But these Lurchers, there are different element types. So what you need to do, of course, is first of all focus them. Make sure the tank is taunting them, because if they do heavy attack the group, you will die. They hit very, very hard. You won't block them as a DPS. But you want to kill these as fast as possible. Now, the trick to this is there are some burnt out Spriggan type enemies on the ground. You can't interact with them as such. They don't do damage. But you can see there's a big circle there, a big green circle. Now, if you take the red one into the green circle, his health will be reduced by 10%. It's like a debuff as such for different elemental Lurchers. So if you get the red circle behind it, you can see further in the back there on the left. If you were to put the green one in there, the same would affect to him. So the green Lurcher in the red circle, the red one in the green circle, they have different health debuffs for putting them in certain positions. And that's very important for the next boss if you don't have enough damage to completely nuke it. Now, this will happen over here as well. We've got some new Lurchers again. We've got this blue one here, and we've got loads of wolves. So again, pull the wolves in as quick as possible. You don't want the blue Lurcher in the blue circle. You want him in a negative one, so you want to put him in the red one. But as you can see, the red Lurcher that's just come over here, he is in here. And if you look at his health bar, it's really, really small. He is in the debuff as well. So if it's a different color to what they are, it will affect them negatively, and it's easier for you to manage them then. So if you are a tank and you are in a group that doesn't have a lot of damage and you can't burn through them really, really quickly, then of course your positioning is then key, because you can decide where to place them. Now, this boss here is where those mechanics come into play. There are several Spriggans around the room. They will all have different color circles, and Lurchers will spawn in the fight. Now, as the tank, keep a taunt on the main boss at all times, but you can put the Lurchers in an opposite effect to make them have less health and make it easier to kill them. So, big circle around the boss. No one needs to stand on anybody else's feet and do as much damage as you possibly can. She has quite low health for a dungeon boss, but just do what you can while this phase is happening. Lurchers will come in. They must be taunted by the tank, and they must be killed by the group. Now, again, if you have low damage, don't worry. The tank can position it in a negative circle and make the health less. But these Lurchers will come in quite quickly. There are also stranglers around the room that you have to be careful of. Don't go near them, because they will pull you in, and it's a real pain in the ass. Just stay away from the edges. Now, the boss will cast a kind of light in the air, and a synergy will be placed on the ground. Your group members need to pick up this synergy, as you just saw me pick up. It looks kind of like barrier. And then when she does like a big blast, which won't happen here because the damage is too high on this particular boss, if you've picked up the synergy, your group will live. If you haven't, your group will die. So pay full attention to that. At low health, she'll do an effect which will charge up synergies on the ground in the form of like a white or yellow light. You must pick those up. We did pick it up there, but we didn't necessarily need it. If you've got high damage, you can of course skip that phase, as we just did. But if you've got lower damage, pay attention. Lurchers must die, synergies must be picked up. Now in here, you've got Wisp Mothers, which are a pain. And you've got little wisps as well. They don't have a lot of health, but you do want to make sure that the tank gets aggro to this as soon as possible. But as you can see, there is a new Lurcher in the background there. And he is big. A massive, massive one. This mechanic also is new to this dungeon. Now what you need to do, of course, is make sure that the tank has got aggro on it. Just taunt it and turn it away. It does have nasty frontal effects, but one key point of all. That one there, the big one. You must block. If you don't block, DPS, healer, or tank, you will die. It's very, very important to know that that is the one mechanic that is going to kill you on these ads here. There are many, many of these, and they are a pain. Now, as well as these Lurchers, we're going to have some sizable ad pulls, I guess. There's a few archers, there's a couple of assassin types, and this is where things really start to come into play, mechanics-wise. It's very, very important that if you're being channeled by one of these assassins, you interrupt them. One of your group needs to interrupt them. Otherwise, this happens. Look on the right, you can see someone is pinned on the ground. That synergy breaks them out. If you don't break them out, they will take a one-shot and die. So if you see one of them channeling, interrupt it. If you're too late interrupting, someone will get pinned. And if you don't get them out with a synergy break, they will die. Tank, healer, DPS, doesn't matter what it is, they will take a one-shot. And that is very, very important to not the next boss, but the one after. Pay very, very close attention to that mechanic. Another Wisp Mother type here, just burn it down really, really quickly. They don't have a lot of health. Just make sure you move your feet a little bit so you don't get zapped. Tank should always turn it away from the group, and the Wisps will actually die to most AoE anyway. Now, we did run past this Lurcher here. You can pull both pulls together if you're experienced, but if you want to take your time and do it one after the other, it's absolutely fine. Remember that big AoE, you must block that massive water slam. It's really, really mental. So be very, very careful. Again, the enemies in here don't require you to have massive DPS. You can kill things quickly if you do, but you don't have to. Everything can be paced. You just have to make sure you understand the mechanics enough to not get wrecked if the fight lasts longer. They've got another Wisp Mother type thing here. We could have pulled her in at the same time, like I said, but if you don't want to, you can obviously pull them separately. But make sure that you watch your feet, because if you do get too close, she will come in anyway. More ads here. If you're going for speedruns and no deaths, make sure you kill all ads, otherwise your achievement will not apply. Again, watch out for these assassin types and thundermauls. They're really nasty. The two-hander you want to prioritize as a tank, and the assassins you need to make sure you interrupt. Otherwise, if they pin people to the ground, you have to make sure you break the synergy to get them out. Otherwise, they're dead. Very, very simple stuff, but you must pay attention to it. Now, we've got a couple more ads coming up and another Lurcher before the next boss. Now, the next boss can be very simple if you understand what's going on, but if you do not, it can be a complete wipe fest. So pay attention. Now this phase, again, when we come into here, grab the ads into the middle as fast as possible as the tank, as the DPS and healers turn away. Sorry, interrupted there. That assassin dude was about to try and pin one of the groups. Block this. Now, as you saw, I broke it, which meant no one gets pinned. But if you fail, we saw it already, someone will be pinned to the ground. Now, as we come through here, we're now going to hit the next boss. This is quite straightforward. But your tank must not panic and your group must not panic. So you want to hold the boss in the middle of the room. During the fight, archers will land and you want to focus the archer, then come back to the boss. Archer, then back to the boss. Remember that very key, important factor there. You must kill the archers, otherwise you're going to get overwhelmed with damage. The tank should hold the boss in the very center. Whenever he does a heavy attack with his sword, like a big flame type heavy attack, like this one, you can see there's AoE spreading from his feet. All you need to do is move away from them, but watch out because they do come bouncing back. Now when he jumps into the air like this and lands, everybody spread out, you'll get your own AoE each, dodge roll through it, and it will explode and disappear. If you get caught by it, you are dead. If you run into somebody else's, you are dead. Everybody spread out, watch your feet. During the fight, of course, he'll put fire on the ground, which you do need to avoid, but as you just saw then, we had archers spawn, which I did say would happen. Kill the archers first. We're not focusing on the boss right now. There's his jump, everyone knows what to do, get out of the way. Your own AoE is coming, dodge roll through it. Carry on as you were. Again, watch for his heavy attack with the flame and sword, because when he does that, 3 AoEs will spread from the center and they will cause a lot of damage. Now again, archers are coming, so you have to be careful. Now this phase, 70% and under, this is where you have to keep moving your feet. And of course you can see ice AoEs moving around as well, little whirlwind type things. Keep your feet moving. There's the dodge roll again from the heavy. Make sure you pay attention to this. Archers, and move your feet. Do not stack. And as you can see there, if I stand still, I get icicles underneath my feet. Don't stand still. You have to keep moving. Always move your feet. Now, he's going through several different elements now. He's got ice if you stand still. He's got lightning splashes. And of course, he's got the flame if he hits his heavy attack. You have to make sure you keep moving. If you stack up, you will die. If you don't dodge roll through that AoE that he drops when he lands, you will die. And if you stand still, you will die. This phase here, we'll all get our own zaps. You can see that we're spread out, we're staying apart. We're still getting healed, but we're staying apart. So just focus on what you're doing. Don't dance on top of each other. If I stand on the tank, we're going to double up our AoEs and die. There's the jump. Get your own AoE, dodge roll through it. Now there is an archer in the room. You've got a choice here when you get this low on health. You can either kill the archer or you can finish off just nuking the boss if you've got enough damage to do so. If you don't have enough damage, don't risk it. Don't get execute panic. Keep to the mechanics. So, to recap, don't stand still because the ice under your feet will get you. When he heavy attacks with the flame, move out of the way of the AoEs and just weave out of them so you don't die. When lightning is splashing, get close enough to get your heals, but don't stack on top of each other, and don't stand still if the ice is still present. And the rest of the time, you have to make sure you kill the archers, kill the boss. Kill the archers, kill the boss. If he jumps, dodge roll for your own AoE and stay apart from each other. Now this pull here, it's quite simple. Pull all the C adders in as fast as possible. Watch out for the two-handers and anything that needs interrupting, especially if they pin you to the ground. Remember those assassin types? You want to stay away from those and make sure that you interrupt them if they do anything stupid. The C guys don't hurt too much. They do kind of power the group a little bit, or the enemies, with a big AoE, so you want to get them down quite quickly. But they're not too stressful. They're nowhere near as bad as the lurchers. Now the next pull, again, we're going to see a lot of these. Some melee guys again. We've got the assassin, which needs interrupting. We've got an archer, and we've also got a two-hander. Now remember, break the synergy if someone gets pinned, but the two-handers must be focused by the tank. You have to get that off the group, because if it heavy attacks or cleaves them, they will die. So that is your main focus as a tank. Grab that two-hander first, and then pull everything else in and control it. There's a lurcher on the left here. Be careful of this dude, because he's got sea adders and everything near him as well. You can aggro them all at once. You have to watch out. Again, you know what to do with this guy. If he bashes the ground, block. Stop what you're doing and block. He doesn't have a lot of health, but if you have got low DPS, obviously just make sure you pay attention to that mechanic above all, because you may not always burn through it. Sometimes you will have to deal with it once or twice, or maybe even 3 times. Grab all of these in, again, as a tank, stack and burn them. This is where you can use your ultimates if you really want to, because there are a lot of enemies here. But, of course, you can see we're using time stop quite a lot in here. That's really beneficial for these ad pulls. We have it on the magic DPS. We also have it on the healer as well, just in case things get mental. So you can utilize that as well if you want to. We've used it a lot in the Moon Hunter stuff, to be fair, and it actually works really well. Now, we've got the next boss coming up very soon. We've got a couple more ad pulls first, or one ad pull first. This next boss is going to test your group's coordination skills, because it's really tricky. But it's a very fun fight. Now, kill this lurcher. Again, watch out for the sea adders. They do buff the enemies. Make sure you block that big hit and focus the sea lurcher first of all. The rest should probably die based on your area of effect damage anyway, but the lurcher should be your main focus. Time stop controls some of the adds, but not the lurcher himself. Now, the wisp that you've been following all the way through the dungeon is kind of leading you to where you should go. Now, this is a different boss entirely to what you're used to. You have to hide in order to hunt the boss. And this is following the rule of 3. So, there is a wisp in the room that you have to follow. And each time it stops, you pick up the synergy and it moves to the next location. 3 pickups, the boss appears. And there's 3 phases where you need to hide. While you're hiding, you must not use any abilities that affect anybody else. So no buffs, no damage, no bonuses, no nothing. If it's not a single ability, like Molten Armaments, for example, buffs me and my group. If I fire it, it's going to wake me up out of hidden or stealth, and it's going to put me into the air. If you go into the air 3 times, you get dropped from a higher and higher height, and eventually you die. As you can see here, that was 2 synergies. Now we're looking for the 3rd one. You'll notice also that we're staying away from each other. That is key, and I'm going to explain that in more detail when we get to the next phase. Now, as you can see, it's near Super. He's going to pick it up, and the boss will appear. The second that boss appears, the tank needs to grab a taunt on it and get ready to interrupt it. Now, it's very important that the tank turns the boss away from the group. There are some nasty frontal damage effects that happen. That spread and AoE there must be blocked. You can dodge roll it if you're quick, but mostly you need to block it. But if the group get hit by that, they are dead. So you have to be very careful to turn the group away. 80% health, you need to hide. We're going through the first hunt phase. You already did it when we came in, but now this is important because we need to stay away from each other. Keep spinning around in a circle, turning your camera around so you can see where the 2 Bambi ghosts are coming from. If you get caught by them, you will be flung into the air. If you get flung into the air 3 times, or you break stealth 3 times, you will get higher and higher in terms of where you're being dropped from, and you will eventually die, so be careful. Now, these ice AoEs that are underneath the ground are placed underneath your feet, then they spread and burst, so do not stand still, otherwise they will catch you and you will break stealth and die. But the key point here is to remember to stay away from everybody else, keep away from the walls in case the Bambi spawn too close to you and wreck you before you see them coming, and make sure you take the 3 synergies. Now, adds are in the room. You must focus these on all situations. No matter if the boss is really low health, you must focus those adds, because if they don't get interrupted or killed, they will of course pin people to the ground and one-shot them if you don't break the synergy. This phase here where the boss starts running around a big circle on fire, just stay out of the fire. It's very simple. Once it's finished dancing around, the tank can reposition it. But again, keep an eye on those adds. Always kill the adds. Try not to stack too much, because later on, obviously, you do get lightning effects that come splashing down from the sky. And if you do stack, they will kill you. So if you spread out a little bit, it's a little bit safer, of course, because then you don't get multiple AoEs on top of each other. But essentially, you just want to do the damage to the boss while killing the adds every time they come in, until the next phase, which is around the 60% mark. But we're overlapping mechanics because of damage. Now, Hunt 2. This is the same as before, but with an added mechanic. Now, 2 people will get a big lightning AoE around them. This is why you must stay away from each other. Stay away from the walls. Don't step in front of Bambi because you get thrown into the air. Don't stand still because the ice will get you. And stay away from your group in case you overlap lightning. That will decloak them, and throw them into the air and kill them. So keep moving, keep spinning your camera, avoid the 2 Bambi ghosts, avoid the ice, avoid the lightning. In the meantime, wherever that synergy lands, whoever's closest needs to get it. Don't race for it, don't try and get there ahead of someone else to show off, because you will kill each other. Pay attention, work as a team. Coordination is key. 3 synergies, the boss will appear again. Watch out for the lightning effects because they will still be happening, and you need to interrupt the boss as soon as he spawns in the room. Now, of course, you can get as much damage on this particular time as you want, but you do, again, have to pay full attention to the ads. If the ads come in, you've got to kill them. One more thing you do have to watch out for is occasionally Tarsi will throw out them ghost Bambis, and they will knock you down and stun you. You just need to break free from those. You can avoid them if you're quick, but if not, don't panic. Just as long as you're not low health, you won't die. Now, ads in the room, again, you can still keep hitting Tarsi if you want, but you don't want to push to each phase too quickly and then risk standing in fire and all that good stuff. Just take your time. Hit the ads, hit the boss, hit the ads, hit the boss, watch your feet. Now, the next phase, we've actually gone over again with mechanics, but I will explain it in the written guide. The last hunt phase now. So, we've got the ice if you stand still, so don't stand still. You got the Bambis coming from the walls. Don't hug the walls, they will get you. Keep moving and spinning your camera. You got the lightning AoEs that you don't want to overlap with your group because you will uncloak them and then they will die. And now we've got one more mechanic, the fire. As you just saw, I just walked straight into it. Do not do that because it'll put you into the air. So you want to avoid every single one of those mechanics while keeping as much distance from your group as possible. You have to make sure that you do not stay near your group. You spread out, you don't cast anything, you stay hidden, and whoever's closest to each synergy, call it and take it. Don't race for it. Don't think that you're better than everybody else because you got there first. It's selfish and you'll kill your group. Pay close attention to where your feet are. Now we've got one more to pick up, and it's basically, if it's not near you, someone else can get it. It's no panic. It's in the corner. I'm the only one who can get to it, I believe, so it's mine. Now, the boss will come back into the room. There will still be negative AoE, so watch your feet. You have to interrupt instantly because Tarsi's having a fit. Do not stand in front of the boss's face. Now, this is, of course, execute phase. But you do have the negative AoEs going, and you still have the ads. So while you think you could burn the boss really, really quickly, you might get pinned by the ads. And if that happens, you are dead. So, take your time. Don't panic. Focus the ads, then the boss. It's not going anywhere. This lightning effect, you know how to deal with that. You saw it on the last boss. Don't stack. So kill the ads, hit the boss, kill the ads, hit the boss. Take your time if you have to. There's no more phases that are going to happen. Relax. Execute panic is the one thing that kills 99% of groups just because they get stupid when mechanics go crazy. All you need to do is understand them and stick to them. If you start changing stuff and overburning or over running around in circles and all that kind of crap, you are going to kill your group. It's not needed. On every boss in the game, the execute phase, or the low health phase, is where you should, at most, be paying attention to mechanics. So, don't do that tunnel vision YOLO crap. Just focus and relax. Now, we're coming up to the last few ad pulls before we get to the last boss. And this is awesome. One of the coolest bosses for a long time. But, before we get to that, this is basic stuff again. There are lots and lots of wolves, there's a few archers and stuff, and your tank should pin everything in the center as much as possible by pulling them in with chains and CCing them up. Now, you can use talons and stuff like you have been already, or you can use time stop, whatever you've got in your arsenal, or as a group collectively. Just pin stuff into one spot and do as much area of effect damage as possible. Now, this next pull is a little tricky. You have to watch out for this caster here. Make sure you interrupt him if he starts doing anything stupid. And of course, we've got a werewolf here as well, who does hit pretty hard, so he's a priority target for the tank. Make sure that you taunt him as soon as possible. Pull in the archers as well to make sure that they're not too stressful from range. And just keep doing what you've been doing on every other ad pull. Just remember, those werewolves are priority targets. If you get hit by them as a DPS, you are going to die rapidly. So be very, very careful. And one key point, I've gone over this in previous dungeon guides before, but if you're a DPS or a healer and something is aggroed to you, do not run away. Go towards the tank, dodge roll if you have to, block if you have to, but move towards the tank. It's a lot easier for them to control it. And if you don't do that, the enemy is just going to chase you and kill you in the back of the face anyway. You can't get rid of aggro by running away. That pull was pretty straightforward. Just pull them in and keep your AoEs down while priority targets are taunted. Nasty pull here. This werewolf will jump at a DPS first off, so make sure that the first thing you do as a tank is taunt that wolf. Everything else should be pinned down and archers should be pulled in. Watch out for this caster at the back, because he does have to be interrupted, because otherwise he really, really hurts. But essentially, this is the same as the other pulls that you've seen. Priority targets, interrupts, basic stuff. Now we are approaching the last boss. Now if you've watched my live stream before, you know that I called Daedroth's Jeff. Well, the Hulking Werewolf looks a bit like a big fluffy Jeff. So just to give him a unique name, we call this boss Juffy. Now, he is mean as hell. And we're going to show you how to coordinate as a team to get this hard mode done. There are some very important mechanics to pay attention to in here, and you can see there's 3 islands. They are crucial to pay attention to. There are islands and there is water. Now, when you first pull the boss, turn it away from the group. Make sure it's taunted, of course. You must not drop that, but the boss will put out some nasty heavies. And see this stomp here? That stomp will make all the islands a bad place to stand. Then straight after, he'll do a charge, which puts fire on the ground, which you don't want to stand in. The tank should then position the boss on the side of the island. Do not touch the island. Those plants will kill you. Now, when the plants have gone, get onto the island. When he stomps, he will charge the water with lightning, and then straight after, he will try and do this fireball effect. When that slam is finished, you must dodge roll. So, if the land is full of plants, stay off. If the water is full of lightning, stay out. Now, at 80%, he will go into hunt mode, and there are 4 of them. Now, what you need to do here is pay very close attention. Point 1 is the blue light. You will have this happen over and over. That is the trap you're looking for, and that's the direction you need to go in order to trap one of the Juffies. You need to do this 4 times. Now, 2 is the water, of course. Now, when the water is covered in lightning, you must not stand in it. You need to get on an island quick. And 3 is the island. That's where you need to go to if the water is covered in lightning, and that's where you need to stay off of if the plants are up. So if the plants are up, get in the water. If the water's lightning, get on the island. Very, very simple. But during this phase, you will have wolves initially that you have to kill, and you will have stranglers running around as well that you have to try and kill along the way. If he says anything about fire or burning or crisps or anything, 3, 2, 1, dodge roll. A fireball's coming and it will kill you. Pay attention. Now, the person with the circle underneath their feet is the one that everyone should follow, because they are the one that has to be chasing that trap and get behind it, because Juffy is after them. If the island's full of plants, stand behind the island. If the water's full, stay on the island. You have to take your time and move around. Once you've trapped one of them, go around the back of the room and follow each other. Stay with each other, kill stranglers, all that good stuff. If there's water, there's a little trick for this. You can mist form and move out of it. Or if you're on the island and you get caught, you can move out of it. But again, move to each trap one after the other. Go around the room as a team. If the water's full, get off it. If the islands are full, get off it. Now, every time, again, you hear him say something about fire or burn you to a crisp or whatever, you can't always see what he's doing, but he is about to slam the ground and put out a fireball projectile that will hit every member of the group. When that happens, you've got 2 choices. You either dodge roll very, very fast and avoid it, or your group needs to heal their asses off in order to survive, because it's 3 ticks and it will kill you really fast. Don't sprint too much, by the way, because you will waste all of your stamina. Here he goes. He's going to do his fireball. Feel my flames. Dodge roll. You see it didn't catch me? No dot on me. Now, every single member of the group should be paying attention to that. Whenever he talks about fire, dodge roll. Now, as you saw, I went straight through the water with mist form. It's absolutely fine. Pay attention. It's a really valuable skill to use in here if you've got it. But again, stand behind the trap to catch the Juffy. Then move together for the next one. Get ready for the next trap. Now, after 4 of them, he will appear back where he previously was, and he'll start his mechanics again. So he slams the ground, stay off the island, so plants there. If he's on fire, he's going to charge, stay out of it. Now you want to get close to the island when this phase is happening, so that when the plants are gone, you get onto the island, because he's about to stomp the water and turn it into lightning. So get on the island. Here we go. We're all in position now. There's the lightning. You might want to block that because it does put a shockwave across the floor. And there's the fire again. Feel my flames, that stuff. Dodge roll it. Now that's what you're looking at from long range as well. When you are in the hunt mode, which we're now going to again at 60%, you can't see it, but that's what he's doing. He's stomping the ground and fireballs are coming out. Again, behind the trap, catch a Juffy, go around the back of the room together. Keep your heels up, don't sprint, kill stranglers, kill wolves. Now, if he says anything about flames, dodge roll. This walk around the room gives your help enough time to place the next trap. Again, if it's lightning, get on the island. If it's plants, get off the island. So we're going around nice and slowly. You'll notice I'm not actually sprinting. I'm keeping my stamina up because I have to kill stuff. And we have to dodge roll and get out of trouble if that happens. We saw the mechanic overlap then. All get behind the trap, dodge roll when the fire's coming, and you're just fine. Move again, round the room, in a rotation together, stay as a group. The heals and the purifies and stuff like that are going to be essential. You're going to want those. Feel my flames, dodge roll. Simple. Now, we're going to the next trap. The island has now lit up with loads of plants, so we can't stand on it. So we need to make sure we go around it until the plants have finished doing what they're doing. But we can kind of line of sight Juffy as well, so that we can get behind the trap and he'll run across the island and get to us. Dodge roll again when the flames are coming. Pay attention to the voiceover or the subtitles if you've got them up. That one's done. Move on to the next. Kill stranglers on the way. Stay out of trouble. Again, this is why I utilize Mistform a lot. You can use it to cross the lightning if you are in trouble. Get behind the trap. Stay together. Keep the heals coming. Listen to the mechanics. Listen to those words. If he says anything about fire, you have to dodge roll. He's back where he was again. Now, every single time he goes into hunt, he will have, obviously, the wolves. You do have to focus, though, so just pay attention to that every phase. Get ready with your ultimates. The rest of the time, just do passive damage to him. There's no race. There's no actual over-the-top mechanic that you have to deal with. The higher his health or the longer he stays alive. He's stomping after the plants have gone. Get rid of those stranglers. While the floor is covered in lightning, you do have to move around a little bit, by the way, because you are going to get shocked from the sky with little lightning effects. So just make sure you keep moving your feet so you don't get zapped by those too much. And then after the lightning's gone, he usually stamps his feet and does the fireball, which he normally does about here, but he's going into hunt phase because it's at 40%. So again, we're going to go around the room. Stay together. Wolves are up, so get your ulties. Go for the trap. Drop everything you've got where the wolves are now about to stand. When you hear anything about flames, dodge roll. We've got plants, move back off the island. Just stay behind it, you're fine. Go around in a circle. Stay with your team. Trap is now being set. Dodge roll the fire. Get behind it. Juffy's now coming. Trap him. Move on to the next. Your dude is now going to go set another trap, so you've got like 5 seconds or so before that happens. Water's changed. Stay out of the water or Mistform across it. Very simple to do. Now, the next trap is up, so we're going to go for it. One of them did actually happen behind us, but keep your eyes peeled and your ears peeled for those cues about the fire. You don't want to get caught by that. Don't sprint, don't waste your resources. Just run together as a group. Stranglers have to die because they will pin people, so get rid of them quickly. You don't want to stay in any one place for too long. Now, once these are all gone again, he will appear back where he was previously. So pay attention to where he was to start with, and then you can start doing damage to him again. Now, this is where it gets really stressful for most people because they start getting execute panic. Do not do that. He stomps, we get plants. Then he does a charge. Very simple. Stay out of it. Get near the island, ready for the plants to disappear because the lightning is now coming. Plants are gone. He's now going to stamp. Get on the island. When he stamps, you might want to block the lightning or just stay away. Watch your feet because you're going to get shocks from the sky. Stomps the ground with fire. Dodge roll. Now, when he goes to 20%, he's going to go into his final hunt phase. So there's 4 phases. He's now coming up. He's overlapping mechanics a little bit, so it takes a little bit of time. But again, get together with your group. Look for the first trap. You're going to want your ultimates here to get rid of the wolves and any stranglers that are nearby. If you hear or see anything about fire, dodge roll. So the wolves all come together. Stay there. Don't feel pressured. Make sure you kill them. Dodge roll the flames. Everybody's safe. Move together around the room in a nice big circle. Don't let him touch you. He will still try and heavy attack you, by the way. Go for the trap together. Don't get caught by any of the 2 basic mechanics, the plants or the lightning. If the trap is on the island or it's in the water and you've got to avoid the one that it's standing in, just go around it and wait. Be patient. Go for the next trap. Stay together as a unit. Whenever you hear about flames, dodge roll. Very, very simple, but if you get caught, you will die really fast. So we dodge then, because the flames are then coming in. We keep dots down just in case there's any wolves coming, in case we missed 1 or 2, and also you've got to make sure you kill the stranglers along the way. Again, we're going round in laps. We're not sprinting. We're just playing it safe. Go to the next hunt phase, or the next trap, rather. Kill the stranglers on the way. They don't have a lot of health, but if you get caught, someone needs to interrupt for you. Hide behind the trap. Listen for the flames. Burn you like a crisp. Here they come. 1, 2, 3, dodge roll. Now, one of us got caught then, but we did get really heavy heals, so we're okay. Now, that was the final trap. Now we want to make sure that we focus him. Do not stand near stranglers because they will wreck you, but if you want, you can hold the boss on one of the stranglers or where the wolves are and throw down ultimates. Watch out for the charge, it's the same as before. Stomp, plants, charge, get out the way. Then, once the plants are gone, you must get on the island. Get on the island as soon as they're gone. It's going to stomp the floor and turn the lightning all over the water. Now, it's a case of dodge roll that. Do we burn him or do we go for another phase? He's dead. Simple as that. So remember, very, very carefully, in order. He will stamp and create plants. He will do a charge. Then when the plants are gone, he will stamp on the lightning and make the water go all lightning effect. Then he'll stamp with fire and they'll rinse, repeat over and over and over. That will happen in the hunt phase. You do have to pay attention to it. So watch your feet and listen to those cues. Very, very important indeed. You must work as a unit, and again, mist form is a godsend in this particular dungeon, because if you do get caught out, you've got that oh shit button to get you somewhere fast and safe with a 75% mitigation to damage. The only thing that really happens at execute is the fact that you get a big wave of wolves. Make sure you kill them first. Always focus the ads first. The boss can be there all day long. It really doesn't matter how long it takes you to kill him. There's no DPS race. There's no DPS requirements. Just relax and stick to your routine. So hopefully that helped, hopefully that wasn't too boring, hopefully that wasn't too complicated, and hopefully you now have a better understanding of how to approach this particular dungeon, especially the hard mode boss. You do have to work as a team, you will have to practice it, but once you break up the mechanics, it's very, very straightforward. Anyway, first of all, thank you very, very much for watching. I hugely appreciate the support. And if you are not subscribing, please do hit that button. It is free. Furthermore, if you want to help support outside of the channel, there are some links in the description for Patreon, Twitter, Facebook, and of course the website XynodeGaming.com. Also, don't forget I live stream on Twitch every single day from 10 PM UK time, unless I say otherwise on Twitter. Once again, thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.